Great day of baseball, huh? Day one of the AA Wyoming American Legion State Tournament, and it was a doozy of a day. We had 4 games, and they were all quality games. I'm so excited for this 307 baseball recap show. We're going to have one every night throughout the AA State Tournament right here in the Buckle Up for Life Wyoming studios. I'm Cullen Holt. We're going to get into highlights. We're going to have maybe some interviews. We'll talk about the brackets. We'll talk about the rankings. We'll talk about all of it, and it's going to be great right here on the 307 baseball recap show. Again, 4 great games today. Why don't we just go back to the 10 a.m. time slot and check out that Evanston-Sheridan matchup. So let's roll the tape for that one. Outlaws and Troopers. This opened up the whole state tournament, and it was a good game as Sheridan got out to an early lead with a couple of runs in the top of the first. Trevor Stowe with the RBI, and then there was an error later on in the inning. Then Sheridan would come back and they would add a couple more just an inning later in the top of the second. So at that point, they would be up 4-0. That was Cody Kilpatrick with the 2 RBI doubles. You can see it there on your screen now. Evanston would make it close. They would tack on a couple to make it 6-2 later around the 5th inning. Top of the 5th, trying to keep the Outlaws in it. A 4-6-3 double play to end that inning. Then Caden Steele at the end of the game would add a couple more runs for Sheridan, but the nice defensive play there by the Outlaws as they drop into the losers bracket. Again, Caden Steele puts the exclamation point on a 9-2 victory for Sheridan in the opening game of the AA State Tournament with a 2 RBI single for himself. And again, a 7-run victory for the Troopers of Sheridan, and they move on in the winners bracket to play tomorrow with no losses on their record. Always a good spot to be. They looked very good. Obviously, Evanston tried to stay close, but Sheridan just a little too much for them in Game 1, and that bodes well for the Troopers going forward. Let's move on to Game 2. This was the 1 o'clock time slot. Bottom half of the bracket, Casper and Gillette. If you are looking for a good game, you have come to the right place. This was a game a lot of people were talking about coming in. Casper, they earned the 1 seed out of the West. They did so by going undefeated in conference, so we know they're good. Gillette, a great 4 seed out of the East. And they proved it in this one. Jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the top of the first. Richardson and Fink both with the ball in play and runs scored. There's Jason Fink going back at the middle for an RBI single. Took until the bottom of the second for the top seed out of the West to get on the board, and they did so in great fashion. Taggart with an RBI single in the bottom of the second, and then after he puts this one in play and gets Casper within 1, Armstrong decides to bunt at the plate. It didn't quite go as planned, but it worked out for Casper anyway, as he puts this one in play right into that no man's land up over the pitcher's head, and Casper ties it up as the runner tags and scores from third. Defensive battle from there on out, all the way through to the 7th inning. Top of the 7th, here's another bunt attempt. This one popped up. Nipper, the pitcher, comes off the mound, gloves it, and throws down to get the double play. So Casper still sitting in a good spot, tied 2-2, bottom of the 7th. This is Casper trying to get something going offensively. Jason Fink, now on the mound, says no. Back-to-back strikeouts to end the 7th inning. There's strikeout number 1, and here is strikeout number 2 for Jason Fink. Punch them out and go to extra innings between these two teams. Seemed only fitting with how close this game was. Top of the 8th, Jason Fink now at the plate. He, after an intentional walk to face him, he has an RBI single, and then Matt Newland tacks on a couple more with a 2 RBI double, and Gillette is in business in the first of the extra innings. Top of the 8th, bottom of the frame, Casper not done yet. Braden Barr with a 2 RBI single to make it a 1-run game, but it just wasn't enough, and Gillette hangs on in an absolutely fantastic game by a final of 5-4. So the Gillette Riders moving on with no losses, and we'll see a very good Casper team dropping down to the losers' side of the bracket. Again, the score 5-4. Caden Rowe for Gillette, 8 strikeouts and 4 2/3. For Casper, Kyler Lewis, 5 strikeouts in 4 innings. So a lot of good individual performances and a lot of great games. That did not stop at the 4 o'clock start time as we go back to the top half of the bracket. There it is, Cheyenne and Rock Springs. We said before this game that if Rock Springs could pull off the upset, it would be the biggest upset of the tournament by far. Cheyenne, the heavy favorites. Rock Springs having a little trouble in the Western Conference. And they took it scoreless all the way to the bottom of the 4th. There's Adrian Beardsley. If you look really closely on the left side of your screen, you can see him make a great diving catch. And Dylan Johnson, the starting pitcher for Rock Springs, pitched very well. Bottom of the 4th, Cheyenne's offense finally got to work. Hayden Swain, 2 RBI single. Caden Anderson with a base knock that brings another run home. That was with 2 outs, by the way, in the bottom of the 4th to put Cheyenne up 3-0. On that mylocalradio.com scoreboard. Bottom of the 5th, Coulter McAnally, an RBI single. An error added another run. Hastings with an RBI single. Caden Anderson got in on the fun. Cheyenne would build their lead all the way to 8-0 in the bottom of the 5th. And they were threatening to end the game right there. It's 10 runs after 5, and if you're the home team, really just 4.5 at that point, but they just couldn't reach that 10-run mark. That's okay. 1 inning later, bottom of the 6th, Keldon Hastings, who had a great game, he got all of that baseball and more. See you later, Cheyenne with the run rule victory over Rock Springs. They're moving on as expected. Wow, what a great game. And Keldon Hastings, by the way, he had a really good day. Let's just highlight him real quick because he went 2 for 4. With 5 RBIs, scored 2 runs, and of course hit that walk-off homer. Keldon Hastings with a fantastic day. Again, just one of a bunch of fantastic performances. We take a look at that moonshot out to left center. Once again, they won it for Cheyenne, and I believe that was the only home run of the day as well. Cheyenne 12, Rock Springs 0. The final, Laramie and Jackson, the 2 seed from the East, 3 seed from the West. This is another one of those games that had a lot of hype coming into first pitch, and another game that most definitely lived up to the hype. Started off at the bottom of the 3rd. That was Aiden Morris with an RBI triple to put Laramie in front first. Parker Bledgy says, I see your RBI triple, and I can hit one of those too. So he ties it up. This is a big top of the 6th for Jackson. Matt Fisher with an RBI single, and a couple of ribbies for Steven Ashurst as well, as Jackson builds a 4-1 advantage in the top of the 6th. Just a half inning later, we go to the home half of the frame, and Laramie wants to answer back. Chamberlain, another guy with a good game, has the RBI ground out. So now it's 4-2, Jackson in front. Going all the way down to the wire as always, right? Top of the 7th, how about Medina behind the plate for Laramie? Throws out a runner on his way from first to second. And now we go to the bottom of the final scheduled inning. Laramie down by 2. Taden Moore, he makes it a 1-run game by bringing a runner home with that ribby there. Hogsett at the plate. Laramie down by 1. Puts the ball in play. Good things happen when you do that. And the Rangers walk it off 5-4 as the ball got away from the Jackson defense. Another fantastic game, and how about the host team coming all the way back to walk it off under the lights in the final game of the day. Wow, we got to catch our breaths because that was a busy day of baseball. We're going to even talk a little bit about single-A baseball in the second half of this show because they had some good games as well. There were a few games where we were kind of sitting on the edge of our seat here in the Buckle Up for Life Wyoming studios trying to figure out what was the final going to be in that single-A score. Another guy we wanted to highlight, though, Jason Fink from the Gillette-Casper game. Wow. Another guy who did it all. On the mound, at the plate. Obviously, he had the big run at the top of the 8th to get Gillette going as they built that lead. Here are his lines. 2 for 4, 2 RBIs, and then on the mound went an inning and 2/3 with 3 strikeouts and only gave up 1 hit. So Jason Fink for Gillette, he's a name you should keep your eye on going forward because there is a lot of baseball left to play as we continue through this tournament. So many great teams, so many great players, and countless great games as well. Why don't we pull up the brackets for AA right now? We'll start it off on the winner's side because this is all set for tomorrow. That is Sheridan and Cheyenne tomorrow at 4 p.m. Gillette and Laramie tomorrow at 7. If that matchup sounds familiar, there's a reason it does. Gillette and Laramie, conference opponents that have duked it out quite a bit over the course of this season, and they'll have to face at least once more tomorrow at 7. So already a couple of good games lined up on the winner's bracket. To the loser's bracket for AA, these are some sneaky good teams that could work their way back into the championship side. Casper will take on Jackson at 1. The first game of the day will be Evanston and Rock Springs at 10 a.m. I'm already looking forward to the Casper-Jackson matchup. Those will be a couple of good games, actually, as the West Conference dukes it out in the loser's bracket, and the East will battle it out over on the winner's side. We come back to the Buckle Up for Life Wyoming studios. Everybody has a reason to buckle up. What's yours? Whether that be getting to the state tournament for baseball or just getting around town, make sure you just take the extra second, buckle up that seatbelt so we can decrease the number and severity of injuries in traffic accidents. We're going to step aside and hear from the Wyoming Seatbelt Coalition. When we come back, we're going to check in with one of the broadcasters on the team from mylocalradio.com, Elin Olive. We're going to take a closer look at the brackets and also check in with Single A. It all continues after this on the 307 Baseball Recap Show.
From one corner of the state to the other, over 82% of Wyomingites wear their seatbelts. And to the 18% who don't, we say, let's buckle up for life, Wyoming.
I'm Officer Kevin Malatesta, Public Information Officer for the Cheyenne Police Department. Cheyenne Police Department for the May mobilization is really looking for people who aren't seatbelted in their cars. It's a secondary violation in Wyoming, but as we make traffic stops for speeding, cell phones, whatever it may be, we're going to be looking to make sure that people have their seatbelts on. As we've gone over, seatbelts do save lives, and way too many people in Wyoming aren't wearing them. We want to make sure that people get home safely, get to see their families again. So if they're involved in a car accident and that seatbelt is on, there's a much higher likelihood of that person making it through that accident, making it through without injuries even. When we have crashes without seatbelts, the consequences are much more severe.
Back again live from the Buckle Up for Life Wyoming studios. It all comes down to who can win these games. So without further ado, let's go right back to the brackets because, that's where it is all at as we take a look at AA first in the winner's bracket, the schedule for tomorrow. Sheridan, Cheyenne, Gillette, Laramie, 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock p.m. The East sweeps on day 1. Loser's bracket, this is all West teams. We'll go to the loser's bracket as Casper and Jackson will face off at 1, Evanston, Rock Springs at 10 a.m. As we welcome in Elin Olive. Elin, you've been the boots on the ground all day long. What a day of baseball. Even had to throw the headset on so I could talk to you. And, wow, have you been able to catch your breath at all?
I'm still just goosebumps from that last game. That was so much fun. I had a chance to talk with Coach Lozano in passing, and I told him, I told him, and I said, you guys have struggled getting runs late in the game. You guys might have woken up your offense and not a moment too soon.
Could we have asked for a better first day? We had the Evanston-Sheridan game. That was a good one. Obviously, Evanston threatened in that one a little bit. Sheridan ran away with it toward the end. Then you've got the one-run game, Casper and Gillette. You've got the walk-off to 10-run for Cheyenne. And then you've got, obviously, the nightcap, which was kind of the granddaddy of them all, the walk-off and the comeback victory for Laramie as well. Could we have asked for a better day?
I don't think we could have. And just to kind of go back, a lot of people said that Casper-Gillette game was probably going to be the best one. I went on record at 307 Baseball saying there's something about this Laramie-Jackson game, and I'm just going to say I told you so.
Okay, Elin, here you go. Tough question for you. Concessions at Cowboy Field, are they good?
Absolutely. They have a local food truck here, and I had a jumbo hot dog for lunch.
Love it.
And a mozzarella and chicken brat for dinner. It was awesome.
Doesn't get much better than that. Hey, who impressed you out of everybody today, off the top of your head?
Ryan Chamberlain. He came in knowing what he had to do, knowing he had 45 pitches to work with because they want to use him on Wednesday. That's no secret now. And we saw earlier games where they wanted to limit pitch counts and they didn't go deep. Chamberlain gets to the 5th. He was very impressive. Also great behind the plate. Parker Bledgy, it really, I'm looking a lot at stars from that last game, but also impressive was Jason Fink in the Gillette Casper game, as well as Garrett Oswald really impressed me in that Rock Springs Cheyenne game. Didn't panic, even though he found himself in some situations. Dylan Johnson, what a way to end your career, man. Absolutely brilliant performance against the top team in the state. And for that Sheridan game, Jaden Schneider came out and shut down the Troopers the rest of the way. Sheridan, though, as a team, really just their discipline at the plate. I think we said it was multiple innings. I want to say the first 3 innings, they got 2 runs on 2-out rallies.
Right.
So really just top to bottom, great performance by everybody out on the field today.
It really was. Everybody seemed to rise to the occasion. Elon, knowing you've probably got some games for tomorrow already circled. What are they?
I want to see Gillette Laramie. That Gillette Laramie is going to be close. Evanston Rock Springs, because of what's at stake there and how familiar those two teams are. You and I both have talked about it, how close those teams are and how familiar they are with each other. They're going to play one more time, and winner moves on, loser goes home. Sheridan, Cheyenne, top 2 matchup on the coaches and media poll. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Really, I don't think there's a dud in these matchups at all, because I'm even also looking at that Casper Jackson game. That's going to be fun. Casper and Jackson played some pretty close games during the regular season. We'll see what comes out. I'm a little concerned about Jackson's pitching right now. They still do have Steven Ashurst, but Parker Bledgy, I don't know what his pitch count was. We'll see if he's available, but I think that's going to be a good one as well.
All right, you've got a long day tomorrow. I'll let you get back to the hotel and rest up. Maybe we'll check in again tomorrow. But, hey, thanks so much for stopping by, Elon.
Absolutely, my pleasure, Cullen. We'll see you in the morning.
Yeah, just a bunch of great games. Elon, Chris Brentel, Grant Storbo, and David Settle did a great job calling them out there at Cowboy Field in Laramie, so we appreciate that. Again, we're going to have every game of the Wyoming American Legion State AA Tournament. That'll be live on mylocalradio.com. We'll continue with these studio shows as well. We've teased this a little bit. We're going to talk about Single A because their tournament now on day 3. Let's pull up the Single A winners bracket to take a look at this matchup today. Cheyenne and Cody. Boy, was that a good game. We went into the bottom of the final inning with the Cody Cubs down by 3. They came all the way back to tie it up and force extras and then walked it off. 9-8 the final score in that one. So show the losers bracket so we can see the matchups for tomorrow. Here's what it looks like because they won't match opponents up against each other that have already played. So it'll be Wheatland versus Cody, Lovell versus Cheyenne. I believe those will be the game times. If not, we'll let you know. So that is what the losers bracket looks like at the Single A level as we just check in with them real quick. We had some really good games. Unfortunately, some good teams got eliminated as well with Powell and Torrington. Back live in the Buckle Up for Life Wyoming studios. Tomorrow's going to be a fun day. 4 really good games. 2 of them will be elimination games. So 2 teams will have their seasons come to an end tomorrow. So there will be some very competitive games as well. So we're very much looking forward to that as the state tournament continues. By the way, everybody has a reason to buckle up. What's yours? You can always leave it in the comment on this video so we can hear your reason to buckle up as well. Once again, let's take a look at the schedule for tomorrow as we read off some final scores from today. The first game of the day, Sheridan beat Evanston 9-2. Game 2 was a good one as well. Gillette beats Casper 5-4 in a close one. Cheyenne run rules Rock Springs 12-0. And Laramie comes back to walk it off against Jackson 5-4. So the schedule for tomorrow, Sheridan Cheyenne at 4, Gillette Laramie at 7. And then on the losers side of things, Evanston Rock Springs at 10 a.m., Casper Jackson at 1 p.m. Full day of baseball coming at you. thank you so much for being with us. We had some great performances, some spectacular games, some close ones, all kinds of late inning drama as well, which always makes it extra fun. And again, we will be back bright and early. You can catch this pregame show tomorrow before the start of Game 1 as well, which again will be that Evanston versus Rock Springs matchup. So enjoy the games, guys. It's going to be fun, and we'll talk to you guys after that Evanston Rock Springs game concludes. I'm Cullen Holt, live from the Buckle Up for Life Wyoming studios.